I found that the panting when you're crowning, right? Like when the baby comes to fill the whole vaginal opening and you're going, or you're going like, that can help for some people, but you'll lose oxygen pretty fast if you pant for a long time. And what I invite you to do is to slow the entire process of birthing your baby down as much as possible. Because as your baby's head is nearing the vaginal opening will open a little and then close, and then open a little and then close, and then open a little bit more and then close. As your baby does this 2 steps forward, 1 step back, natural dance that they do, which in my opinion is a biological mechanism made to support the stretching of the tissues and preventing tearing. It is when we rush that process by directed pushing, by pushing too fast, by adding extra force to the spontaneous efforts that your body is already giving you, or by feeling fear and overwhelm and then adding too much force. That can all really increase the risk of tearing. But when we just surrender into that sensation and we soften into it and we slow down and let it move through us slowly, that is going to help the tissues to stretch and help your baby to be born without you tearing. So I tore with my first because I felt the pressure of her head coming down, and I was like totally overwhelmed by that sensation, and I had a lot of fear come up that I had not worked through in pregnancy. And so I was thinking, I'm going to tear. And I totally tore because I added way more effort on top of the effort my body was already creating, and that pushed her out faster. And I do believe that's why I tore. So with my second, I asked my husband to remind me to go slow when the baby's head was crowning. This can be hard in an environment where people are actively telling you to push harder, even though your body is already birthing your baby at the perfect timeline. But in certain models of care, it's more standard to just get the baby out. And in other models of care, it's more standard to wait and trust the biological process of birth and step in if necessary. So it's important to have a conversation with your provider about their model and to be really sure that that model aligns with your philosophy and how you want to be treated when you're birthing your baby. So anyway, I told my partner to tell me to take it slow, and he did, and that was so helpful because no one touched me, no one else talked to me. It was just him and I. My midwife was there, but she was standing back. And I was birthing in a position that I intuitively felt was comfortable for me. So I was able to soften into that position and sit with it for a minute. And so often what happens is the baby gets close to crowning and you start to feel more pressure build in your vagina as your baby's head gets closer. Just allowing those spontaneous pushing efforts to wash over you and feeling that like the push happen when it does, and then letting it go when it's not happening anymore. And so that happened for a little while until I got that feeling of the baby's head filling the vaginal opening. So I felt like he was crowning. And I said, he's crowning. And my husband said, go slow. And I was like, oh, that's a good reminder, because I was totally like, let's get this baby out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready. I'm ready to get him out. Instead, I just took deep, slow breaths, allowed myself and my baby to get good oxygen by taking deep breaths, and I did not engage my diaphragm. Instead, I let my belly and my body be soft and still, and I waited. I waited until the next contraction to push my baby's head out. Sometimes on the next contraction, the baby's head will come out, and sometimes on the next contraction, the whole baby will come out. So it just kind of depends on your baby and your position and what's going on. It is totally normal for your baby's head to come out and for the rest of the body to follow after the next contraction. So in many cases, the baby's head comes out and there is a pause waiting for the next contraction that lasts about 30 seconds until the next contraction comes. And then with that next contraction, you'll feel that spontaneous pushing effort again. And then your body will push and the rest of their body will come out. Some providers, when the head comes out, they'll automatically grab the baby's head and do what's called downward traction, which is where they pull the baby's head down a little bit to get the top shoulder to clear underneath the pubic bone. Babies don't come like straight in and straight out. They do a little dance to work their way through the pelvis. And so as the baby's head comes out, they turn their head. And when they turn their head, they decide which shoulder is going to come out first. So when they turn their head, the shoulders follow. And so that top shoulder is the shoulder that needs to go under the pubic bone to be born. So they kind of do this like whoop, whoop motion when they come out. They will do that all on their own without a provider touching them. But some providers like to touch them and immediately start pulling and encourage them to come out. And that's totally okay if that's something that you want. But if that's not what you want, it's important to have a conversation with your provider about that too. Provider hands-on, which is when the provider is touching your body and your baby and doing these maneuvers when your baby is born, actually increases the risk of tearing based on the research that we have. There is a lot of research on this throughout the world and it is mixed, but the results are leaning more towards provider hands-off for preventing tears. Some providers believe that by touching your baby's head and encouraging their head not to move up, but to keep it kind of tucked as their head comes out and to support your perineum with their hands can prevent the risk for tearing. In the babies that I caught in my midwife training, I'm a student midwife right now, I found that it wasn't very helpful to have my hands touching them or to be pulling their baby out. And in some cases, I felt that it was even harmful for me to be grabbing the baby and pulling the baby out when the mom is on her own timeline birthing the baby on her own. And I know partners who want to catch the baby, but them catching the baby in an environment with a provider who's more hands-on is less of them actually getting to deliver the baby into their hands and more of the provider putting their hands on the partner's hands and doing these maneuvers. So it's just important to be fully aware of what it is that you really want to experience and how your provider practices so that you can make an informed choice that really feels best for you around how you want to birth your baby and how you want your baby to come out. It is perfectly safe for a provider to be hands off and to witness the birth happening and to step in if needed if an issue were to arise. But allowing your baby to be born just straight onto a bed, into your hands, just into the water, without anyone touching your body or pulling on the baby is perfectly normal and totally safe. So just to give you a quick recap, what I recommend you do is consider all the different ways you can be supported through the pushing phase and how your baby can be born and feel into what feels truly best for you and what it is that you're wanting to experience and what it is that you're wanting to give your baby for their entrance into the world. Birth in a position that feels most comfortable for you and most sustainable for you. Upright positions such as standing or kneeling or hands and knees are the best for decreasing the risk of tears. And if you have an epidural, you can birth side lying or on hands and knees to decrease your risk for tears. But ultimately, the position that feels most comfortable for you and allows you to deliver your baby in a slow and controlled way is best. Most of the time, you will feel the fetal ejection reflex, which is when the baby puts pressure on a reflex point inside the vagina that can stimulate your body's natural reflex to push. So instead of adding extra force, you can listen to your body and allow your body to push spontaneously. I invite you not to engage your diaphragm and your tummy muscles any more than your body is already kind of spontaneously doing for you. Instead, take deep, slow breaths to give your baby lots of oxygen and to give you lots of oxygen, to take it slow when your baby is crowning, and allow them to come out as your body spontaneously pushes them out. Provider hands off is the best way to decrease the risk for tearing. You can also have your provider or your partner apply a warm compress or do some perineal massage while you're pushing, but it's important that that person takes their hands off when your baby actually comes to crowning. Birthing in the water also decreases your risk for tearing because the warm water can increase more circulation and blood flow to that area, and that can help your tissues stretch and prevent tears. You can learn more about pushing and preventing tears in the Peaceful Birth Academy in the course Tear-Free Birth Blueprint. This is your birth. Your body knows what to do. And most of the time, your body is not going to grow a baby that it can't birth. You've got this.